All right, let's get straight into it. Welcome to This Explainer. Forget everything you think you know from Hollywood movies or those late-night serial killer documentaries. Today, we're bringing out the heavy machinery. We're looking straight at the hard, uncompromising facts of clinical science to unmask the 6 actual faces of psychopathy. What we're about to uncover here isn't fiction. It's absolute reality. Let's dive in. You ever look at your boss, maybe an ex, or even your closest friend and wonder, are they actually a psychopath? Look, you might brush that off as a joke, but the reality is, honestly, pretty chilling. Because psychopaths aren't just lurking in dark alleys, they operate in the broad daylight of your daily life. And they definitely don't all look the same. Stick with me here, because by the end of this explainer, I'm going to reveal a terrifying, documented condition where a completely normal, healthy person can transform into a cold-blooded psychopath, literally overnight. It's time to drop the mask.
Phase 1. Born versus made. The etiology split. The clinical literature on this is crystal clear. Psychopathy is not a single uniform illness. It's actually split into 2 vastly different root causes.
Okay, so first you have primary psychopaths. These guys are born cold. They are wired this way right from day one due to raw genetics and an underactive amygdala, the brain's fear and guilt center. Because of that, they are completely fearless, calculating, and totally immune to guilt trips, wearing this perfect mask of sanity. Secondary psychopaths, on the other hand, are made in hell. They're created by severe childhood trauma, neglect, or violence. They're highly anxious and emotionally explosive. Actually, when people in the real world throw around the word sociopath, this volatile secondary group is exactly what they mean.
So that begs the question, right? If they are this dangerous, whether we're talking stone-cold calculating or highly volatile, why aren't they all locked up? How in the world do they walk among us, sit next to us in meetings, or eat at the table right next to yours entirely undetected?
Phase 2. The CEO versus the convict. Whether a psychopath commands a boardroom or rots in a jail cell really just comes down to one absolutely vital operational factor: executive control. High-functioning, so-called successful psychopaths possess sky-high IQs, intense superficial charm, and elite impulse control. Look, they do not commit petty crimes. Instead, they channel their absolute ruthlessness and zero empathy into high-stakes environments. We're talking corporate CEOs, Wall Street traders, elite surgeons. They weaponize the system to win. On the flip side, you've got low-functioning psychopaths. These guys have zero impulse control and terrible emotional regulation. They react violently to immediate triggers, which results in chaotic lives of substance abuse and a one-way ticket into the criminal justice system. They simply lack the discipline to keep the mask on.
Phase 3. The 6 dark personas. Famed psychologist Theodore Millon did the heavy lifting for us here, breaking down this clinical behavior into 6 distinct subtypes. And listen, these aren't just abstract theories in a textbook. These are precise, dead-on profiles you can spot in your everyday life.
Understanding their core drive is everything. First up is the unprincipled. This is your arrogant narcissist. Amoral, wildly entitled, they will exploit you without a second thought and sleep perfectly fine at night. Next is the disingenuous. Basically the snake. They use this calculated, superficial warmth to act like your absolute best friend, right up until they bleed you dry for exactly what they want. Third is the risk-taking persona. Driven by the severe, agonizing internal boredom, they engage in incredibly reckless acts simply to feel a pulse, just to feel alive.
Then there's the covetous, the envious stealer. Driven by a burning envy, they aggressively take power, status, or even partners from others. And it's not even because they want those things, but purely for the dark satisfaction of robbing someone else. Next, the explosive subtype, a walking time bomb. Deeply unpredictable, the second they feel slighted or disrespected, they snap into a blind, violent rages. And finally, the tyrannical, the pure, unadulterated bully. They actively relish cruelty, using whatever force necessary to break the people around them into total submission.
Phase 4. The brain injury trap. Now, at the very start of this explainer, I asked if a completely normal, loving person could transform into a psychopath overnight. Well, the clinical science is terrifying, because the answer is an undeniable yes.
It's a condition called Somatogenic Psychopathy, first identified way back in 1941 by Harvey Cleckley. Here is the hard reality of it. If a totally healthy, empathetic person suffers severe neurological damage to their brain's frontal lobe, their emotional wiring can be permanently wiped out. Imagine a devoted family member suffering a severe head injury in a car wreck and waking up in a hospital bed as a cold, unfeeling psychopath. No dark childhood trauma required, just raw, mechanical brain damage instantly, permanently rewriting exactly who they are.
We've stripped away the Hollywood myths and laid out the cold, clinical facts, so I'm going to leave you with this. Thinking back to Millon's 6 subtypes, the narcissist, the snake, the thrill seeker, the stealer, the time bomb, the pure bully, did a specific person in your life just pop into your head? If they did, I want you to drop their suspected subtype in the comments below. Take a hard look at the people you surround yourself with. And hey, if this explainer gave you the tools to see the real world clearly, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next breakdown. Stay sharp out there.